Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another Toasting Norks Talking Mental Health video, and today we've got a guest on our channel, BladeOfSun95. So thank you so much, buddy, for being here. I really appreciate it. How's it going? How's your day?
It's going well.
Good. Awesome. So this one, by my understanding, we're going to kind of talk about some things that might, trigger a trigger warning. That wasn't the best way to word that, but here we are. And it's kind of some stuff that, I feel like, BladeOfSun, you said that you kind of felt inspired by a previous part that I did on Toasting Norks Talking Mental Health. So, yeah, I'll let you take the floor and, kind of talk about what you want to talk about. This can kind of go like a ping-pong conversation. We can, respond to each other. You can do a storytelling time, just whatever you need to do. So, yeah, floor is yours.
Okay, well, so before we get started with the story time, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And yeah, let's get to it.
Thank you so much. You're the best for that.
Okay. So this story time takes place during my right after I graduated from high school. I was still 19 at the time, and I was told about of how people change their profile pictures, looking all colorful and all that stuff, and I thought to myself, that's pretty cool. I should probably do it myself, and so I did, and not sure when, but sometime after that, my sister informed me that it was supporting like gay marriage and all that stuff, and that moment I was like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? But anyway, so the next day after, and so instead I put my last slide. Nope. Because when I found out that my stupid teenage self took to Facebook the following day, I wrote stuff that was completely not okay, and the next day after that, I received a lot of backlash to it, and I did feel bad about that after a while, and there were just times where I just want to disappear from it all, but luckily my family was able to talk me out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're kind of saying that, like, I think I know what you mean. Sorry, my turtle got stuck for some reason. I'm in that part of Sunny Beach where you have to get him up the ramp, and he was like, "I'm not moving," which I understand that. I don't blame him. But yeah. So you were saying you posted kind of like this is back in the day, right? Like a pride support. You didn't realize it was pride support, and then people were being like, kind of hateful about it, and then you kind of said some things like that you feel like now are not okay, but back then you just kind of didn't, may have not been exposed to it as much or didn't have the same opinion you have now, right? And people were kind of like coming at you for it. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. So almost like a I don't know if it's fair to say like bullying situation, but almost like this, just the online cyber stuff where, you say something, you feel like it's fair play, and then people kind of, I don't know the details of it, but you know what I mean? Like they kind of like attacked you for it, essentially.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you, after you, it sounds like you dealt with some, I don't, was it like suicidal ideations like after that, just due to the fact that like the way people were reacting, and it made you kind of feel like guilty? Maybe is that kind of how it was?
Uh, yeah, in a way, yeah, and because I did repent of what I said, and 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 the month after that, I lost the trust of one of my best friends, who I'm gonna call Mavis,
Yeah.
to to you know uh, protect to that. Well, I didn't want to call them by their real names. Let's just leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's safe. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, and and throughout the years, I just had no one to be so angry with but myself, and well, they were right. It was it was definitely not, it was not good for my mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. No, I
yeah,
not to interject too much, but I kind of understand where you're coming from, and I think like I don't know, like where I don't think we've talked about like locations or anything too much, but where I live, like it's weird. Even though I always knew like that I was gay, I also knew what people thought about it, and I definitely, I mean, part of why I deleted my Twitter is because I probably said some homophobic things, even though I knew I was gay. It doesn't really make sense, I know, but like in high school, it was just everybody like, I mean, the language was just different then, and things that like are totally normal, they were so taboo around here that it was stuff that you just made fun of, I guess. And it's just different growing up, right? When it's those are just things that society kind of teaches us, and we think it's like the normal thing to do or say. So it really sucks when we accidentally like hurt people by thinking that way. Um, and I feel like it would be, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like it would be very stressful and confusing because that's not something, I don't know, like the normalization of gay people and anything that's like might be considered different, like that doesn't just come naturally, unfortunately, to us because we're raised in a society that kind of, especially like our era, because I think you and we might even be exactly the same age, but we're pretty close to the same age, and
yeah.
you know how things were then, it was just like not a good time. So the normal opinion was probably what you said, even though it did end up hurting people. So it was probably shocking, I would imagine, to like going on there thinking you're saying like the right thing, what people want to hear, and then it actually caused backlash like that. That sounds honestly a bit traumatic, to be honest.
Oh, you can say that again.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me about like how like what was your thought process after that? Did and were you was it something that like over the years you kind of just, I mean, clearly you've changed your mind on it, obviously you probably wouldn't be talking to me right now, so like so what was your process with that, and then also like forgiving yourself, because I know you said the person that you were mad at was you, and you had to deal with those feelings, and it sounds like a lot of, I don't know, maybe guilt, self-hate, that kind of stuff you may have been feeling. If you want to talk about that, that'd be cool. If
Well,
if
well,
you don't want to, it's okay, but
no, it's okay. Um, I've actually met some people through PSN, um, uh, that that uh, that that are in fact either bisexual, if I'm saying that right.
yeah.
Okay, either bisexual, trans, or lesbian, or gay. Uh, the- those people, they quickly became my friends.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
so that at least after some conversations I've had with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And yeah, so up until now, I came around to realize that everyone deserves to have their own equal rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that we should accept them for who they are as a person, and not insult them for the for the sexuality.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that growth. It's really cool to, honestly, I'm really glad that you wanted to share this, because I think one of my favorite things really is showing, like, just first of all, that especially with like the era we grew up in, people change, right? You know, like I said, we're kind of a victim to a thought process that isn't even our own, and once we're older and we go through certain things and we're able to kind of rationalize those things ourselves, I feel like it's just good to show. And it's also, I think it's important even to talk about right now for, like, I don't want to get too controversial, but with like cancel culture, I think this is why it's so important. Like, if we're going based on things people said a very long time ago, you can't just do that, you know, because I mean, God, like, you know, it's just, heck, the things I said 15 years ago online do not represent anything to do with who I am now, you know? And so I think it's awesome that you brought this up, and also that you're talking about how it affected your mental health too, because, you know, I think it's easy for us, especially, I mean, I'll even use myself as an example, as a gay person and as someone who struggled with those negative thoughts that people might think about me. It's really hard to have compassion or empathy for the person who said those things, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know, I think it's nice to see, I mean, it'd be different if they hadn't changed, obviously, but it's good to see your side and your perspective of it, and kind of the ways that it's changed you for the better, but also that you still, like, it's valid that you struggled after that, because it's still, even though you don't agree with the opinion you stated at the time, right? It's still, right. You still went through discourse with people, and, you know, it kind of, I don't know, online comments are really hard to deal with, especially when you say something that someone disagrees with and they come after you. Whether they're right or wrong, it doesn't always matter. So it's still, it can be very upsetting, you know? I've been there before, and it's really hard to, people say, oh, don't worry about what other people think, but, like, I mean, it's hard to not take it as a failure on your part, you know? Yeah, it's just a hard thing to experience. So I'm really glad that you're sharing this, honestly. I think it's a good way to see both sides of it, and then how, I don't know, how people grow, I guess.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
But yeah, is there anything else on the front of the story that you want to talk about? I don't want to, like, overtake the conversation. I'm kind of bad for derailing and rambling.
Nope, I think that'll do for my story time.
Nice, cool.
And the moral of that is, if you can't say anything nice about it, then don't say anything at all.
Yes.
Or there definitely will be consequences.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And well, that's an important mental health moment. I think it applies to everything, right? You know, like your story, it stemmed from, and guys, for context, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of came from my homophobia video I did with my, you know, experience of an excommunicated family friend who pops up here and there with homophobic remarks to me, and, you know, I had to cut this person out because of it, and whatnot. So this video reminded BladeOfSun95 about his experience. And yeah, I mean, even though we're talking homophobia, it kind of applies to everything. There are a lot of things that I don't understand, but I try not to chime in on them because I'm not the one experiencing it, and I think that is pretty much what you're saying here, you know? Like, if you don't get it, don't judge it. And even if you're secretly judging it, don't say that you're judging it, because it's not really... It's like, we can only understand our own experiences, yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. As far as, you know, you actually made me think of something, but give me a second. I gotta reel it back in. I lost it. Let me think here. Oh, I did want to kind of pivot off of that and talk about, you know, even like the things that like you and I, for example, believe now. I still say for like mental health purposes, that even when I feel strongly about something now, I have to be careful when I interject on the conversation and when I don't, because I think there are times where I can pop in and have a discussion with someone who, for example, might be being homophobic or might be being extremely religious in like a harmful way. And there might be something I want to say, but there are times when that is good for me and it makes me feel better, and then there are times that I know if I do it and the person responds back poorly that it might actually make my mental health feel worse. So yeah, I kind of, you know, I think also what you're talking about, it kind of ties into social media as a whole, right? Like,
yeah,
sometimes social media is not good for our mental health because of passionate opinions that other people might have that are hurtful, you know, to us. And I feel like I've talked to my therapist about this recently, but I feel like as much as we all say, I don't care what other people think, like, there's a part of us that always will, unfortunately, because nobody wants to be disliked by someone for just something that's just a part of them, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a good conversation to have, too, is just, you know, mental health and social media, even though right now we're on social media talking about mental health in a positive way. It's always good to remember, you know, there might be times that you just need to stay off of it. I mean, me personally, during Pride Month, like, I've deleted most of the people that have, like, hateful opinions about gay people, but still some of the discourse I see in people's comments makes me feel worse. Like, Pride Month is supposed to be a good thing where, you know, we talk about the tough things we've gone through and we celebrate having more freedom than we had in the past, to be who we are. But, like, sometimes Pride Month, I actually dread it. I actually dread it because of how much hatefulness that I see. So, yeah, that was just a big tangent about being mindful of when you can be on social media and when you can't. You kind of create your own social space, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's good to cut out the bad. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I still have my concerns. Those people still get insulted. Either insulted, hurt, or even worse. It's like this is not what we're called to do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I know we were kind of chatting in my Discord server, but just as a whole, I'm not going to mention any specific examples, but, you know, just online bullying it's honestly kind of scary, right? Especially when you think about younger people, because, I mean, it's even bad as an adult, to be fair, but just some of the stuff that, like, I don't know, man, kids are growing up with way more access to these things than we even had, and I can't tell you how many, like, you know, stories I've seen of, like, teenage, kids and suicide just due to bullying, you know? Due to online comments, because it's just so easy to, like, say it behind a screen versus to somebody's face, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt about the situation with, the person in my life that I cut out, and I'm not saying she wouldn't say it to my face, because knowing her, she probably would, to be fair, but, like, you know, the first time it happened, I still had her on Facebook, and she was a part of my life, but the second time it happened was, like, 7 years later, and it just came out of nowhere. I mean, I was just working, literally, because I worked from home, I was sitting at my desk, working on something, and I get this random message that's, like, you know, attacking me for, like, who I am and who I'm married to, and I'm like, why am I even in your thoughts right now? Like, that is just such a weird, thing, but, you know, because of technology, people have, like, instant access to each other, and I don't know, it's crazy, it's crazy, but, I mean, I feel like I'm in a place now where that's not going to take me down a bad road in terms of mental health, but in the past it probably would have, you know, because it's taken me a long time to be able to hear those comments and not kind of fall apart, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess I can empathize with both sides of your story, because I've been the person who was thinking I was saying the right thing, but really it was pushing people away. That really ties into, like, my religious trauma stuff, because when I was a teenager, I was, like, super judgmental of my friends. Like, I would, like, my cousin Johnny, bless his heart, he's the one that passed away that I talk about, that was, like, my best friend, but I actually found a note I had written to him recently where I was apologizing to him because I had written him, like, a 3-page essay about how sinful it was that he was listening to a specific song. That sounds so crazy, but there was literally, like, a song he liked, and I was like, it was middle school for me, and I wrote him all these reasons why it was sinful, and he was a bad Christian because of it, and, yeah, it was just not, like, looking back, it's funny, but, like, it's just weird for me, because it's like I was that person, and now I'm, like, kind of dealing with that judgmental stuff from other people, you know? So I've kind of I've seen both sides of it, and at the time, I thought that I was in the right and that I was helping him, so I felt kind of victimized from it, like, you know, why are you getting mad at me? I just love you, I'm trying to protect you, you know, and that's something I kind of have to keep in mind too with the extreme religious stuff and those types of beliefs, is that some of the people really are just that hateful and judgmental, but some of them are, like, actually thinking that they're helping us, and I always have to remember that, like, they're kind of a victim of a higher, like, mindset and system that teaches them these things, and it's all fear-based at the end of the day, you know. They think they're saving people from hell, you know, and if they love someone, they probably wouldn't want them to, like, burn in a fiery eternity. I mean, it makes sense. But, yeah, anyway, that's something I've kind of had to deal with, because I think coming out of it, I was just mad at all of them, and I hated all of them, and now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to see, like, unfortunately, they're victims of something higher, and hopefully someday they'll get out of that, you know, we can always hope that. I mean, I feel like your story today, even though it wasn't for religious purposes, it doesn't sound like it was just, like, you have a complete different viewpoint than you had when you made those comments, you know? And I think there's that hope is out there for everybody. I think that, unfortunately, it doesn't hit everybody, but it is possible for anyone. So, you know, if you're someone out there who has had to cut off a relationship because of this, you never know who might show up 10 years later apologizing, you know, because they're like, shoot, I was wrong about that, and I'm sorry I hurt you, you know, like, it sounds like that's exactly what you did, you know? Which is great. I love that. I love to see that. We need more stories like that out there, so I think that's really great.
Absolutely, yeah.
BladeOfSun95, is there anything else that you would like to share about this experience, or anything else about mental health as a whole before we wrap things up?
Nope, I think that should do it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you for sharing your story. I loved to hear from you. I'm sure a lot of people will relate to this.
And if you guys want to check out my channel, be sure to subscribe. The link will be in the description below, and be sure to follow me on Blue Sky for updates on the upcoming film I'm working on.
Yes, I'm loving that, by the way. It looks awesome. So excited.
And remember, guys, be sure to be way past cool to those who even are gay or not. and if you don't, you're gonna turn into a Rhinoc.
I love that. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm loving the improv. It was great. That is fantastic. I love it. Alrighty, well, yes, everyone, definitely check out Blade of Sun's channel. I freaking love it. I love the work that you're doing on your movie, right? That's what you are calling it, a movie, right? I want to make sure I get that right. Okay, cool. Yes, it's freaking badass. It's super cool, and I definitely recommend it for everyone, but especially Sonic fans. So, yeah, thank you so much, buddy, for being on here. I'm running around in circles because I didn't want to enter a level, so I probably look like a maniac right now. But thank you all so much for watching. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, blah, 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 and we'll see y'all soon. So thanks again.
Bye, guys.
Bye.